Hello, hello. All right, let's do some sharing. Because sharing is caring, right? I also need to run and grab some chapstick before I get started. So today we're talking about true sidereal. We're talking about the celestial alignment for the week of February 10th to February 15th. 16th, February 16th. So from Tuesday to Monday. And I may at some point change so that we start on the Monday, but I just, I kind of like having my Mondays and doing my classes on Tuesday. But anyway, we could do that. But either way, you got the week. So you'll know before the beginning of the next week that what's going to happen on Monday, and then check it out again on Tuesday. All right, I'm going to finish sharing if I can remember who I left off with. Hi, Crystal. You know what? We'll send it to a couple of people, and then we'll just call that one good. So we're talking about true sidereal, the astrological alignment. True sidereal is looking at the living sky. That's what true sidereal is. It's the sky as it is currently above us. You can check it out on any app that looks at the live sky, and it will tell you that this is where the placements are. Hi, Tabby. So you can check that out. Okay. All right, so we're going to talk about the weekly alignment for the coming week from Tuesday until Monday, and we're looking at this through the true sidereal and Krystic astrology lens. And I do a little brief introduction about what that means each time, but what true sidereal is the living sky. So we're working with the energies as they currently are in the sky. And two, we are using the Krystic lens, which just means that we're taking out the distortions that have been built into mainstream astrology. I'm going to clean this screen. It looks like it's got a little bit of a, it's got a little bit of a dirt on the lens or something. It's looking a little bit cloudy, so we'll do that. And we'll do the same here. Let's just clean them all. Okay, except the laptop. I'm not gonna get up to that. Okay, so we're going to talk about what's happening in the sky from now until Monday. And then you can join me next Tuesday for the next check-in. And like I said, this is free from distortion. In March, I will be teaching Krystic astrology, which, like I said, this is true sidereal, but without any distortions built in. And that's what the Krystic means when I'm talking about that. So today we have the final week of Capricorn season. So this is a threshold week. It's not a beginning. It's not yet the shift. Aquarius season will begin on February 16th, which is Monday. So this point, this is where reality is asking us whether or not what we have built can actually hold the future that we want. Capricorn's the builder. Aquarius is the expander. Aquarius is the innovator. They're looking at how can we take what we've built and make it future-proof? How can we take what we've built and expand it for humanity? So if we looked at going through the astrological wheel, and I do this fairly often, where I run through a little bit of it. But if we looked at it from the aspect of, of my brain's like losing the thread. Hold on, come back. Okay. If we were building a business, this is where I wanted to go with it. If we were building a business and we were looking at the astrological wheel as a way to refine things, when we are in the early stages of the year, we're looking at for self, for family. When we get to Capricorn, we're looking at legacy. We're looking at providing for the next generation. And when we get to Aquarius, Aquarius is thinking about not just self or family, it's thinking about humanity. And it's not just thinking about my generation or the next generation, like taking care of your kids. It's thinking about how can we make this last way out in the future? How can we innovate this so that this keeps on growing and evolving and is future-proof? Which is an awesome way to look at Aquarius. Hi, Megan. How's everybody doing? If I ever get going too fast, just drop a comment and ask me to just slow it down. Hello. And I would really appreciate it if you're watching, if you could comment or like or share anything that's aligned for you. Okay. So this week is not about excitement. It is about integrity. Capricorn does not test dreams. It tests structures. Is the structure that you've built your legacy on, is it firm? Is the structure secure? Or did you build it on sand, right? So if you haven't created that foundation, Aquarius cannot open cleanly because the structure beneath it is unfinished or it's unstable, right? You can't expand it if you haven't stabilized. And so that's what we need to do. All right. So we're talking about integrity for this week. And, you know, I like to get you guys to sit into this space. So let's take a breath in and out and just relax. Now we're going to look at the sky. So the sun remains in Capricorn, like I said, until April. Where am I going? I was thinking Aquarius, so went for an A. I don't know. That's the best I can give you. But the sun remains in Capricorn until February 16th. Mercury and Venus were in Capricorn, but they moved last week into Aquarius. So that was a shift that we had with our last week. This week, Mars is still in Capricorn and Saturn is still in Pisces. The transitions that we're going to have this week are the transitions of the moon. So the moon is going to move through Scorpio, Ophiuchus, Sagittarius, and Capricorn. The reason why it goes through 4 of those placements within a week is because the Ophiuchus and Scorpio placements are smaller. They're not as large as Sagittarius or, you know, some of the other placements throughout the wheel. And that's where true sidereal differs even more, because true sidereal doesn't look at each constellation as being the same size. And it doesn't look at things being frozen from 2,000 years ago. And it's looking at what is in the sky right now. What are the energies that we're really working with? Because this is where the sun is, or this is where the moon is, or the rest of the planets. So that's why I align with true sidereal, because to me, it's working with the truth. It's working with the actual energies. I don't find it worthwhile to be working with the energies as they were frozen 2,000 years ago, because I'm not living there. I'm living now. So I want to work with what's present in this current time. So when I'm talking about stuff on my channel is always focused on the living sky. And you can verify that at any point in time by going and looking on a live sky app or Stellarium on your phone, right? That's one of the apps that does that. And you'll see where the sun or the moon or the rest of them are sitting. And so mine will align with that. But if you're listening to mainstream astrology, or you're following what they're talking about, in most astrological spaces, they're going to be talking about it from a tropical, seasonal, or traditional viewpoint, which is just 3 different ways that you can classify mainstream astrology. And so with mainstream astrology, it's just every March 20th, it begins Aries season. I don't know why I'm fascinated with April for some reason. April's a good month. So every March 20th begins Aries season, whether or not the sun is in Aries. That's traditional astrology. It begins no matter what. So if you're somebody that wants to work with the actual truth, or the way that the sky actually is right now with the living sky, then stick around and hang out with me and you can learn all about it. And I am putting on a course in March that is going to go into all kinds of depth so that you can read your chart as well as other people's charts. So if that's something that interests you, also stay tuned. All right, I have to pull my comments on StreamYard. I have to put my comments on this side over here. Otherwise, I don't see them. And why are you being that way? Anyway. There. Perfect. I've got them the right size now. Okay, so let's get into this week. Okay. We are also on the 17th. So we'll talk about this more next week. But on the 17th, there is the solar eclipse new moon. Okay. And right now we are in the Capricorn waning phase. So this is the completion corridor. When we're in the waning phase before that new moon, we're meant to be closing things off, completing things, getting ready for that new beginning. So, and we're closing off a season because Capricorn is switching to Aquarius right before the new moon, right? On the 16th, we have Aquarius season. So Capricorn's last lesson is accountability to reality, not punishment and not restriction, right? But contact with truth. So Capricorn is very grounded. And I say all the time that Capricorn is that beautiful, big daddy, masculine energy, right? And it's a very grounded energy. It's about structure. It's about legacy. It's about provisions. It's about, accomplishments and achievements. So it definitely has that big daddy energy to Capricorn. And it's in most times, definitely in mainstream astrology, it opposes Cancer, which I like to call the mom of the astrological wheel, because that's that very nurturing energy. And the protection that it's talking about is protecting the inner brood and so on and so forth. So Capricorn season, though, is calling us to the truth, right? And that's, Dad would have been all about structure, discipline, which is devotion to your highest timeline, right? Your highest self. When you determine that you have a goal in something, so say the goal that you have is to run a marathon, that devotion or discipline, the discipline that you have to get up every day and lace up those shoes and run and macros and micros and doing all of that, because trust me, running a marathon is not just about running. There's a whole aspect of your entire body and mind. Like there's a lot of work that you have to put in. So when you determine that you want that's your goal, the discipline to show up every day in that consistency, that's devotion. If you can train your mind to recognize that discipline is devotion to the goal that you set for yourself, it can take it from that space that many of us hold it right now, which is in that daddy wound space, which is that, maybe the punishments that we received as children were really heavy. And so discipline to us is a word that really causes us to kind of tense up or tighten up or have some fear or hangups about. So if we can change our mindset, then we can change the way that we show up, right? And we'll show up more in that space of being able to discipline ourselves. So at the end of this season, Capricorn cycle, you see clearly. Through Capricorn season, you found out what actually works and what only works in theory. Look, I have a rainbow. There's a rainbow in the room. Just a little one. Hi. That's cool. Anyway. All right. The things that, entertain you. Hello. Okay. So at the end of this, you're seeing not only what works and not what works in theory. And you're going to also see what costs more energy than it returns, and also what is quietly stabilizing your life. This week is going to naturally expose the inefficiencies that are occurring in your life. And it's not dramatically, it's just going to do it in a practical way. So a plan that seemed like very, very clear may feel heavy. And that's an opportunity for you to evaluate if that's still in alignment. It doesn't mean the whole thing gets thrown out. It just means that you maybe have to tweak things or pivot. I've done a lot of that recently. I was preparing to, and still on February 22nd, if there is interest in phase 2 of Bridge to Light, then I will launch phase 2 of Bridge to Light. But if there's no interest, then I'm just going to postpone it until the interest is there. That's not a failure of any way. That's just responding to the field that is presenting itself to me. And maybe what people are looking for right now is more stability or more orientation or still more healing and shadow work and stuff. And I'm thinking people are at the embodiment of the truth stage, where they're ready to walk the walk and talk the talk and, live in their truth. So that's just the field that's representing itself to me, is not the one that's ready for that. I'm going to stand in that strong integrity of who and what I am. So you tweak things, right? That's what Capricorn season is asking you to do. It's asking you to refine things. I used to work a heck of a lot more, and Capricorn season made me look at things and go, hang on a second. Do I need to be creating that much content all the time? Do I need to create another new course? Or do I have a ton of courses and classes and education and information that I can draw from, so I'm not continuing in this creation of new material? One thing that we need to understand is that we're in that creation mode, in that productive mode where we're constantly putting things out there. It means that we're not in receiving mode. We're not opening ourselves up or releasing that energy of forward momentum to allow things to flow in the other direction. So it's just important for you to recognize that as well. So this week is going to expose those inefficiencies, and the commitment that you've made may reveal its true weight to you, and a responsibility may either settle into ease or show strain. These are not failures. They're just calibration. And we're constantly aligning more and more with our truth as we evolve. As I make changes to who I am, the people and things around me change to reflect those changes. And you may not see the changes in the moment that you're making them. It may take several months before the field starts to shift and evolve around you. It's everything aligning to that new truth that you embody, which could be the new truth of a belief system. Right? It could be, stepping into your truth of, I know what I came here to do now. I know what I want to create. I know what I'm meant to, how I'm meant to show up in life. Those things will align you with people who are also in that same alignment, where they are showing up as they are meant to, or they're aligned with what they're meant to be creating or doing, or their truth. So the more aligned with your truth are, the more you align with people who are aligned with their truth. It's just resonance. So completion means allowing reality to correct you before the future expands you. Right? We don't want to be expanding the false things in our life. We don't want to be expanding the things that are out of alignment. So we want to clear those up before we step into that next moment, into that next step, into that next space, and expand with Aquarius energy. I just think I said I almost got to Aries again. Huh. I am Aries rising, but that's, I don't think it's on my mind. Not much is in Aries right now, in fact. Although if you look at mainstream astrology, they are really, really pushing that. Sorry, I'm just declining invites for right now. They're really, really pushing that transition of Saturn from Neptune into Aries. And that's been a lot of stuff that's out there right now. But Neptune's still in Pisces and will be for quite some time. Okay, so while Capricorn finishes, the mind has already moved ahead. So remember that Mercury governs the mind, the mental communication. There's another word that I'm looking for. Maybe conversations, our connections, right? Like, but it's more technology, I guess, is what I was thinking of. Thank you, Carol. Thank you. Because Mercury has moved into Aquarius, the mind is already thinking ahead, right? And so you may notice new ideas, altered values, or shifting relational dynamics. Conversations are going to start to feel different. Your perspective is going to widen because Aquarius brings that very open-mindedness to everyone. And you're going to see alternatives where previously it felt like obligation. Aquarius is that kind of rebellious energy, and so we're gonna have that inviting us a little bit in the next season. So insight arriving early does not mean that action is correct early, right? This is the planning stage. This is the nurturing stage before we take action on it. Right? We need to make that foundation solid before we start building on top of it. That's the way that we have to do it. So, so Aquarius is going to show you the possibility first, and Capricorn is going to decide what can sustain it. So you'll get this idea. For me, let's say I'm going to be teaching. I've been teaching Christ consciousness. I teach the Krystic pathway, but I've been more frequently talking about that. And that was something that a while ago I hadn't been teaching, right? I started off with my company 5 years ago, focused in trauma, mental health, evolving into, with this spiritual component to your healing, because I believe that it took mind, body, and spirit to be a healthy self, that you had to work on all of those. And that's what the company was. But as I evolved and changed, it went into more ascension. And so it evolved to the School of Light and Pathway of Ascension, where it is now. So talking about that stuff, it's in the evolution stage, right? It's in the stage of developing the programs, but not launching them. It's not time to take action. Right. So this is just an example that I'm going through to show you the season's energies. So Capricorn, in deciding what's going to sustain it, it's going to tell me, okay, these things you're doing here, they're last season stuff. You can drop them. They're not helping you. They're just ways that you're letting energy go for an obligation or whatever. So I closed a few groups this year, or I actually put them on pause is all I did. I just paused them, and I've, done the same thing with some other stuff that I was doing. I've just really streamlined. And that's what Capricorn's asking us to do, is just to get really clear and, structured and organized and, big daddy energy. So we need to know what's going to sustain those possibilities that we're birthing in this next season. The work is to let your perception evolve without abandoning your responsibilities, and to hold the vision while completing the current structure. This prevents the fragmentation between inspiration and embodiment. So we're talking about true sidereal. We're looking at the week. We just got through talking about Mercury and Venus and how that's influencing us, with them both being in Aquarius energy, while Mars isn't there yet. We're going to talk now about the lunar sequence. And this, when we're looking at the moon is the emotional body and memory. So we're going to talk about how those transitions through the week, and we go through 4 different signs this week, and how those are going to affect us. Okay. And I need to look into which day specifically Ophiuchus is, so I can take the day off. I take a rest day on Ophiuchus energy. It's a very spiritual day for me. Ophiuchus is what my sun sign is in. And I do have a lot of placements in Ophiuchus as well. So I like to take the day and spend it more introspective and spiritual, and more in a spiritual space than a front facing or, providing content or connection space. Okay, so the lunar sequence that we have this week, we start with Scorpio, and this is going to reveal to us what is emotionally unfinished. Scorpio reveals the truth, and so we're going to get real with our emotions, and Scorpio is the rebirth energy. So we're going to be rebirthing our emotional space, so it's aligned with the truth. Ophiuchus is the 13th sign, and the one that's removed from traditional astrology. And even, I believe, when you're in sidereal, not true sidereal, but sidereal, in that particular type of astrology, I don't think that they incorporate Ophiuchus, but I could be wrong about that. But Ophiuchus is the 13th sign. It comes between Scorpio and Sagittarius, and is kind of a hybrid sign between the two, combining both elements of water and fire. Ophiuchus is resurrection. So it's going to integrate what was split or avoided. So we are going to come to terms with those truths that we revealed and integrate them. Because when we move to Sagittarius, Sagittarius wants to be handed the truth so that it starts moving in the direction. Because Sagittarius restores the orientation after you've released what no longer serves you and aligned with your truth. Then Capricorn takes the truth from Sagittarius in the direction that we're headed, and Capricorn grounds that energy and says, let's make this our lived structure. So this is a psychological and somatic reset that's preparing you to enter a new cycle without carrying unresolved charge into it. And that's why we're meant to work with these energies. And when you understand the energies that are moving through us, then we can oftentimes understand why we're experiencing certain things at certain times. And it's not a surprise anymore. When you understand that, well, this is why I've been like refining things lately. This is why I've felt like I needed to just throw these things away. And, I needed to, get really consistent with these things. That's Capricorn energy instructing you and helping you. So if strong feelings surface early in the week, they are not interruptions. They're just closures that you're completing. Allow yourself to feel the emotion and then just release it. You don't have to make meaning of it. Right? It's going to be so much fun. I just realized I did not turn my little heater on, so my tea is actually getting cold. Dang it. Letting my tea get cold. I'd really appreciate it if you could tap the screen and put some lights on it. Hello, Carolyn. How are you? And hi, Anon. Love you guys. Thank you. So now we're going to talk about how to work with this week. And again, I'm going to reiterate, I'm talking in terms of true sidereal, which is the living sky. And I think that that's what we should be working with, the sky as it is above us. And so that's what I teach. That's what I talk about. That's what my content is focused on, is the living sky. When I say Krystic astrology, or I say the term Krystic, what I mean with Krystic is outside of religion and dogma. It's just the divine organic truth. All right. So we're talking about Krystic astrology, true sidereal through the Krystic lens. And we're going to talk about how to work with this week when we're moving through the fact that we are going from the last week of Capricorn season. We are moving through the waning phase. We are going to go through Scorpio, Ophiuchus, Sagittarius, and Capricorn with our emotional energy. We have our relational and mental energies both in Aquarius. And we also have Mars still in Capricorn, grounding that energy with the sun as a little catch up. So this week we are going to prioritize completion over expansion. So tie up all those loose ends, get clear about what structures you're investing in going forward, and get devoted to your future goals or to your highest timeline, your highest self, however you want to look at that. All right, so we're going to have the conversation you postponed because it required clarity. We've had that clarity of the season. We're going to have the conversation before we move into the next season. We're going to simplify our plans rather than adding to them, right? We're going to get clear about what are our yeses, what are aligned with us, where are we just doing things out of obligation or, some other distortion that we can maybe clear up. We're going to finish the responsibilities fully rather than half holding them while imagining the future. Right? We want to close them up. We want to clear them up. We want to, we want to be in integrity. That's Capricorn energy. And we're going to let our decisions stabilize through action, not motivation. Okay. Capricorn takes action, right? That's the Mergo that climbs it up and puts the flag on the top of the mountain and says, I accomplished this. That's Capricorn. So we've got accomplishments that we need to tie up as well. And that's through the responsibility and through taking action, and especially when that action is aligned and grounded. So the cleaner the ending that this week brings for you, the clearer the beginning of next season is going to be. Okay, so it's really important to clear up those energies and relationships and things that aren't aligned with you before moving into Aquarius. So on February 16th, the sun enters Aquarius and change becomes available then. This week determines whether the change feels chaotic or coherent. Finish it well, and the next cycle will open naturally. Hi, happy belated birthday. I know I said happy birthday on your Facebook, but happy birthday now on here when I can say it to you personally, and just love to you. Hi, say hi. And if you're seeing me looking around, it's because I do have several different screens on. Did you have a good time? I always look at the name and then my eyes are lying down there instead of looking at you like I'm having a conversation. Did you have a good time? Did you have a good trip? I see that you went on a trip. Nice. How lovely. How lovely. So yeah, there's trying to think. Oh, very nice. Very, very nice. Those are the challenging trips, right? To take a solo trip. Not many people can do that. I mean, not many people can go out for dinner by themselves, let alone go on a solo trip somewhere, and especially in a different country. So give yourself credit for having that courage, right? Because it does take courage and bravery to do that. But it also will bring a lot of growth by putting yourself through those. It's those little things that scare us, right? But we step forward and we do it, right? That's just powerful. Carol's on the other live and she says hi. Hi, Drea. Hi, Crystal. Right. So doing those, like I remember when I was, when I was learning about therapy, but also, doing my own therapy, when therapists used to do where they would really push you to kind of go all in, right? So if you had some fear, they'd make you go and just like jump right in it, all the way in. And that's not the way that you do it. That's not, those things can be very much re-traumatizing. She says hello. Can very much be re-traumatizing. And, if you have those things that you can do where it creates a little bit of fear. So for example, singing for me, if I sing in front of people, that does make me very nervous. And, so like pass out nervous, which is funny because I can come on here and I can talk and I can be like public like that. And I can teach courses and, like record all kinds of content. But once I start to sing, just my knees start to shake and I just get really heady and, and yeah. And I know it's based in some childhood stuff, right? That, when I was a child. So stress tolerance or challenging myself would be literally taking and singing in front of one person that I trust, right? Singing in front of that one person that I trust, terrifying still, but as you continue to do it, you can work over it. That's the way that you should go through it. Like if you're afraid of snakes, you don't jump into a pit with them, right? Maybe you start with a picture of a snake and a cartoon one at that. And then you move from a picture of a cartoon snake to a picture of a real snake, or maybe not even that. Maybe you go from a picture of a cartoon snake to, a more 2D, 3D version of a cartoon snake. And you slowly get closer to the realism with it. So yeah, and that's what you're doing. And hello, can you please both tap on the screen there? Because there's been no likes because people haven't been tapping and I don't know why. I did ask. Just like on this one, they stop by and watch, but they're not liking. And it's not that hard, guys. I have some oracle decks that have been coming to mind lately. So I will be in the future launching a few more oracle decks. I already have a few to put together. And once this one deck, though, I don't know what it is, but I decided I was going to just do, I was going to paint the cards and make them myself. And so I'm going to do that with the one deck. There's a deck that I'm going to be doing on the monad. There's a deck that I'm going to be doing on Christ consciousness. There's a couple of different decks, and I'm really excited about them. I do have to put together the Arthurian Tarot, which is a beautiful deck that I have it all done. I just have to make it. I just have to put it in a physical. It's all ready to go. All the cards have been, I did all the pictures for the cards. I did them on my Procreate. So I did all the pictures on Procreate and I've got the whole guidebook written and ready to go. It just needs to be made. So someday that'll come out. But this one, I'm going to play with it. I'm going to do a little bit of playing with it on my live once I get it all painted and put together. And then we'll see. Maybe that's what I'll end up doing. I'll just make a couple of decks that are just for me, like the monad and stuff, and use them on my lives until the time when I can. But it's okay. So how's everybody doing? How's your week going? And thank you for the gifts, guys. I love you. And thank you for tapping. How's your week going? Are you feeling the energy of Capricorn season? Have you been feeling that drive to refine things around you? Have you been feeling a bit more disciplined with the things that you're doing? Kind of goal oriented, or as if, you kind of stepped into a little bit of adulty energy? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Jenny. So what? Nice. That's good. Yes, feeling the urge to organize and be disciplined. Absolutely. Absolutely. What about your year has been so challenging, Jenny? If you care to share. You don't have to, but if you care to share. I'm just organized all morning. I've been very quiet. Good. I'm glad you still have Betty. Give her some scritches for me. Yeah, I still have Cass too. But he's quite healthy, actually. He's healthier than I've seen him in quite a long time. It's like he's 4 years old again. It's adorable. I love his new energy and exuberance. But our energy gets reflected around us, right? And we see those reflections, which is quite nice. Hi, Daily Divine. So yeah. Nice. Nice. Where are your plans to travel? Are you staying in Canada, or are you going to travel down into the States? Is anyone feeling that emotional energy from being in Scorpio moon? I'm just going to my live sky. I thought I had it open. It's the sky live. Never mind. Was talking. I've had some emotions coming up too, but really they've been very positive, like rises of emotion though, like not crying and stuff. Nice. That's beautiful. I've driven both ways all across the country, but not all at once. This year, I am going to be probably driving from Alberta to the East Coast and then back. But I don't know if I'll go all the way out to out to BC, like out to the Pacific Coast and back. I don't know if I'll do that. I don't know. To add that on. Ah, beautiful. Yeah, nothing big, but just there's some waves coming. I mean, I'm sure other people have maybe experiencing more, for sure. So yeah, we have a lot coming up with the energies that we're going to move through with the moon specifically, right? Oh, that's a long time. That'll be quite the reunion. 40 years haven't seen family and going to connect with them this year. So that's a long time. That's a long time. It'll be like strangers almost. Strangers with history. You know what? Let's do some cards. Or we are on True Sidereal Day. Who wants to drop me their top 3 and I'll give you a little tiny little reading thing? So your top 3, do you know your in True Sidereal? In True Sidereal. Sun, moon, and rising sign, if you have those 3. All right, let me pull up my... I'm like, where's my education tab? There we go. I'm going to tell you, I'll just tell you the 3. Okay. Do you know what your sun is? Go to masteringthezodiac.com and put your birth information in. masteringthezodiac.com. And if you put your birth information in there, if you don't know your time of birth, you can't get your rising sign. But if you put your rising sign in, if you have your time of birth, then you'll get those three. But if you don't have your rising sign, just give me your top two, and I'll do a quick little thing on that. Okay. And I'll open up my tab. Actually, Krystic Astrology. Let's look at moon, rising, moon, and sun. Go there. Moon, rising. Like, which is the other one I'm looking for? The sun. The sun. But you know your date of birth. So it'd just be a matter of going to that and putting your date of birth in, and then it would give you what your true sidereal alignments are. Now, typically your true sidereal is one sign before what your typical sign is. And for many of us, it can be a bit disorienting because we've, really aligned our identity with the tropical system in some ways. So if we really, and I used to be super Sagittarius, right? Because, they didn't have, in traditional astrology, they don't have the Ophiuchus sign. And so when the cutoffs are in traditional astrology, most of my stuff ended up in Sagittarius. So when you change to the true sidereal, I have, it changes everything. Sag rising, Capricorn sun, Aquarius moon. Okay, so Carol was there first. Carol, with your sun in Aries, that is your radiance, so your expression, how your core radiance filters through the gate. So your sun being in Aries means that your radiance expresses as ignition, as courage, as that direct motion, and divine will. Okay, because that's what Aries governs. And when they talk about it in mainstream astrology, they add all these other negative connotations to Aries. And why? Because then we think, oh, I'm Aries, I'm the god of war, and I'm fiery, and I have rage issues, and, like angry and fiery, and right. So, but it's ignition, courage, direct motion, and divine will. So your oversoul enters the field through pure fire and purpose. Moon Taurus. The moon in Taurus, so this is your emotional landscape and memory. So your emotional landscape is that you are stable, you are calming, and you have this very embodied emotional flow. And I concur, you're very, very calm energy. You feel very deeply through your senses, and you also have certain needs, and that would be comfort, consistency, and grounded environments. Good old Taurus energy. Now, when we look at your rising, with your rising being in Leo, your rising being in Leo, in Krystic astrology under true sidereal lens, the rising sign is the gate of embodiment. And the gate of embodiment for the rising in Leo is light in motion as radiance and warmth, right? And Leo is that fire sign. It's very warm, charismatic. And that are some of the key words here. So you enter the world with charisma, creativity, and visible heart energy. The quality of light expressed is joyful radiance. Remember, Leo is the child energy, right? It's just beautiful. I guess more teenage energy, not child, but definitely connected to the inner child. There's the way that I'm looking for. So it's a life force that uplifts and animates the field. This rising harmonizes the field or harmonizes the world by inspiring confidence and enthusiasm. In motion, this light reveals authenticity through expression, and harmony arises for you when the heart leads without performance. Yeah. All right, so we have Cap Sun, Big Daddy energy. So for the sun in Capricorn, your radiance expresses as mastery, discipline, structure, responsibility, and legacy. Okay. The oversoul shines through achievement and stewardship. You have your moon in Aquarius and Sag rising. Moon Aquarius. All right. Moon in Aquarius. So your emotions are expressed through insight, detachment, and unique inner vision. You process feelings intellectually or through observation. You need space, independence, and innovation. That's important to know. Right? If you're looking for in relationship, and our emotions are so important within a relationship capacity. And if the partner with you doesn't give you freedom or doesn't allow you your independence, and doesn't have some like spark, right? Doesn't create some innovation, and that's not gonna suit you emotionally, right? All right, your rising is in Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, the gate of embodiment is light in motion, is expressed as expansion and vision. You enter the world with openness, optimism, and future orientation, and emotionally as well, right, with the Aquarius energy. Even Capricorn is future oriented with legacy. So you're always looking towards the future and building towards the future. So the quality of light expressed through the Sagittarius gate of embodiment as your rising sign is directional faith. You are pointing toward meaning and possibility. This rising harmonizes the world by lifting perspective and encouraging exploration. In motion, this light reveals wisdom through experience. Harmony grows when truth remains lived, not abstract. So you have to be in alignment with your truth. And with these, that's a big three. That's a big altogether, one right after the other. Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Aquarius as your big three. How fun. How fun. But yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? It absolutely makes sense. But we reject it because we've attacked sometimes, right? Sometimes we're, hey, I'm not Capricorn, or I'm not, because we think of the way that is referenced in mainstream astrology. So for me, when I went from being Sagittarius in some placements into Scorpio, and you think about how Scorpio is represented, right? I might not feel like that's really me. I'm not dark and edgy and, like, I'm not like that. So you could oppose that energy. I remember how I was when I found out in mainstream astrology that my moon was Virgo, and I was like, oh, no. Hard pass on Virgo moon. Thank you. Hard pass. But if you believe that and you subscribe to it, and then you start to embody it as your truth, then you're living out of alignment, right? There's a big difference between what my moon is in traditional astrology, which is Virgo, or in true sidereal. So as the living sky was at the moment of my birth, I was under the Leo moon. Leo and Virgo, very different energies. Leo is authenticity, it's warmth, it's radiance, it's, and Virgo is refinement. It is, and there's just a very, very big difference there. So if you're adopting the characteristics of your natal chart and you're doing it through traditional astrology, you may be assigning yourself characteristics, behaviors, or attributes, right, that are not really yours, or not really in alignment with you. And we talk about in spirituality about the concept of looshing energy, right? And when we are doing rituals and ceremonies and stuff like that, when it's not true, or it's not aligned, or we are being manipulated to think that we are doing a specific thing, we could look at all the holidays for that, right? How we have been told, like Santa, ha ho ho ho, da 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 da, right? But what does it really mean? What are we really subscribing to in that space? So the same thing's happening when we're following tropical or traditional astrology, and this is my truth. It does not have to be your truth. You can disagree and say, I like 2,000-year-old frozen sky, and I like my traditional astrology, and I like to be able to look on any site and say, can I get my horoscope today and see what my horoscope is? I don't want to have to be challenged with, trying to ferret out true sidereal stuff because it's not as mainstream, right? And that's for you. Whatever reason that it aligns with you, it's aligned for you. So that's your truth. This is just my truth. So I like to work with what the actual sky is doing, because I firmly feel that when you do a moon ritual under mainstream, where it's saying this new moon that we're going into is going to be a new moon in Aquarius. But if you look at, give me a second here, moon February. I have to check on mainstream. I don't keep track of it anymore. It's okay. So that's in, okay. I'm going to check here. Just give me 1 second. And I want the moon. There are times when the two overlap, where you actually have, but we're not. The new moon is the day before Aquarius season. So we actually, and I should check on the time. Give me 1 second. Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, so again, and we had this happen in Sagittarius season. Again, this is one time where the new moon in true sidereal is actually in the same sign that mainstream astrology is going to be talking about. So this is one time where it just aligns. If you were to look at it more closely, you would note that within the mainstream astrology, it's going to be a late stage moon in Aquarius versus, so the degree of the moon is going to be completely different in that astrology versus this one. So because we are entering the season of the sun enters Aquarius on the 16th, the new moon is on the 17th. So because of that, we end up with Aquarius. It's the same day. It's just that with mainstream astrology, they don't consult the living sky. They go based on like tables and stuff from where it was 2,000 years ago. Love you. Have a beautiful day, sweetheart. So yeah, the new moon will be in Aquarius on Tuesday. It's February 17th, which is I know that's a family day in some places, or is that the day before is family day? But yeah, so February 17th will be the new moon. They do the new moon on the same day, saying all of the new full quarters, all of that, it occurs on the day that is correct. It's just that they're consulting the frozen sky versus the true sidereal doing the living sky. That's the difference. Hi, Dawn. How are you, love? Yeah. All right. I put my comments away. I blocked it. Perfect. February 16th is Family Day. Love you, sweetheart. So yeah, check out the nope. I went and phrased it completely wrong. Okay, so I do have news. That's what I wanted to talk about. I do have news. I have a new course that I just released, and I'm really, really, really excited about it. It is a 10-day self-paced course, and it is $55 Canadian. So I'm telling you the price right off the bat. No surprise. It's on sale right now. I haven't determined the end date of the sale, but it could be in 2 weeks. So I don't know. I'm just going to sit with it and determine when it's going to go to regular price. It's $55. You get 10 recordings and you get a journal / guide, or what I like to call as a playbook. So it goes over in the guide that you get. It gives you for each day, it gives you the practice that we went through in the video, plus the integration question. And then it goes through and it gives you another reflection question for that specific section, another grounding practice, or like another grounding practice, another integration thing, and an affirmation, I believe, keeping them all straight. So it's an orientation and stabilization course, and it's a 10-day journey that's just to ground, realign, and come home to yourself. It is not a trauma course. It is not shadow work. It is not ego dissolution. It is not an identity like destruction or, anything to do with that. This is about returning home to you. It has very simple practices. The videos are no more than, I think the longest one is less than 25 minutes. So each day would maybe take you a half an hour to go through the entire practice. And it's self-paced. So you can do it take as much time as you want, or do it in 10 days. When the sale is over, it'll go up to $88. So I'm giving you $33 off right now. And so I'm just going to go over a little bit of what is this wonderful course so that you understand what it's all about. I'm getting very warm, so I have to step out of this room soon. Okay. So this is a self-paced 10-day orientation course designed to help you settle your nervous system, reconnect to internal reference points, and restore basic coherence without getting into trauma and shadow and all of that stuff. So this is all about stabilization before expansion, because we are going into Aquarius season, which is all about expansion. This is for people who feel overwhelmed, scattered, or internally noisy. It can also be for people who are spiritually aware, but who feel ungrounded or fatigued. It can also be for those who want clarity and steadiness without deep emotional processing, and also anyone who's needing a reset before engaging in deeper work. Now, this is not for people who are seeking trauma processing or shadow work. This is not for people who are wanting a rapid transformation or who are looking for activations. This is not for those that are looking for really heavy mysticism or identity-based teachings or anything like that. So this is a very gentle course to return you to center. So there are short teachings each day. No day should take you more than 30 minutes. There's just the playbook that I have. The first day is all about just arriving here, and it's about orientating to the present moment. Day 2 is about establishing safety, and it's a nervous system settling focus. Day 3 is reconnecting to the body, and so this is your body as the reference point. There's day 4 is internal listening. So this is differentiating noise from signal or communication from your guides or, intuition. Day 5 is emotional regulation without story. So this is just letting your emotions move without analysis. Day 6 is clearing daily accumulation. This is all about energy hygiene. Day 7 is boundaries and containment. So the focus is on your energetic boundaries without defense. Day 8 is simplifying attention. So this is reducing internal and external overwhelm. Day 9 is returning to center in daily life. So it's about applying this stability to real situations. And then day 10 is about integration and ongoing rhythm. And this is about sustaining orientation and stability. So how do you incorporate this ongoing in your life? So it's a beautiful course. It's $55 on sale, $33 off currently. And like I said, I haven't set the end date for that sale, but I will be sitting with that, and I will mention that on the next, any future stuff once I have it set. At the end of the 10 days, you're going to feel more grounded and present. You're going to feel less emotionally reactive, clearer in your internal reference points, better resourced for daily life, and you're going to be oriented without being overwhelmed. So it's a beautiful course. And yeah, you can use it as a standalone, or you can use it as something to build for the next thing that you're going to do. Whether, you're looking at expanding, maybe you want to look into Bridge to Light phase 1, or, doing other work with me, but there's zero obligation to have anything further than just this particular 10-day course. So that's it. But yeah, next I'll be back on Thursday and around 1:44 p.m. As long as I behave and actually honor that time. I was late today, but I was chatting with my friend and I didn't get off the phone in time. So I have to be more disciplined myself in that. But on Thursdays, we're going to talk about Christ consciousness. And this isn't meant to be anything scary or overwhelming. When I'm talking about Christ consciousness, I am talking about coherence, alignment with your truth, living your truth. And it has nothing to do with religion. Yeah, it has nothing to do with religion. So yeah, that's what's happening on Thursday. So we'll talk about that. And we'll be applying, when I talk about Christ consciousness, I also work in the sky as well, because when we're doing these things, we can be working with all the energies that are around us, and that will just help us with these spiraling evolutions that we're going through. So yeah, so we're going to talk about that on Thursday. Christ consciousness and the Krystic pathway, or the way. All right. I love you guys. Have a great day, and go check out on Sha'Ryah. There's lots of classes and courses and mini classes and sessions, and all the readings are up now. So if you're looking to, investigate your true sidereal and do natal charts and get readings in different areas, they're all on the website. And you can also just join the free Temple of Light group, where I drop little extras all week long. Or if you want deeper stuff, there's more to explore there as well. And if you're also in the mind of donating and giving back to community, I own a nonprofit, Hugs for Homeless, that is that collects donations that we put together, backpacks that we distribute into the homeless communities, filled with essentials. And you can donate as little as $1, or you can sign up for $1 a month and receive be part of a membership or receive a newsletter. No, not yet. I was like, I pretty much have a record of all the people that have donated at this point, but yeah, I didn't see yours, unfortunately. The other thing that I have to note with that, if you are someone that's looking to do a group volunteering event, or if you're looking to do, if you're corporation and you're looking to do team building, we are affiliated with Kits for a Cause. So you can go to the link on our website, work with Kits for a Cause. You determine what your budget is for your team building or your group volunteering. And they work with you to send you whatever that would purchase. And together as a group or a corporation, you put together the backpacks and then they come to us and we distribute them into the community. So you know that while you're doing these corporate team building or group things, that you're doing so from, and you're actually changing a life. Like you're literally helping save a life, right? So that's pretty cool. And the other thing that we have is a partnership with Bargain Groups, which is a wholesale group. So if you want to bypass donating money, you can purchase the supplies that we are looking for through an in-kind donation. So you choose what you want to purchase, and then it just gets, they collect it for us. And then when they have enough supplies, then they ship all of that to us. And then we would put the backpacks together ourselves or with our pool of volunteers. The other thing that we're looking for with Hugs is volunteers, and I will be having the volunteer page put up on the website, hopefully by the end of this week. But if you're interested in volunteering, and not all volunteers have to be local, we are looking for some social media, research for grants and so on, stuff like that. There's some that are online or they don't have to be in public. So, but we are also looking for people in that are looking to do volunteering that can maybe like put posters up or pamphlets out and things like that. So there are opportunities available to work with us in a volunteer capacity. And you can fill out the application when it's available, or you can send me an email and say that you're interested. And the email is info@hugsforhomeless.com. And the website is www.hugsforhomeless.com. No spaces or underscores or anything, just all one word. And that's that. So love you guys. Have a beautiful afternoon. I'm going to get out of this beating sun that's making me very warm and and go somewhere a little cooler in the house, maybe out in the backyard. We're having some really wonderful, wonderful weather in Alberta. So I'm going to go and enjoy that. Love you guys. Have a beautiful evening. Bye, guys.